Hi everyone and welcome to Maths and Physics with Mr. Simons. Today's lesson we're spotting patterns and we're looking at 15 negative thoughts that destroy exam confidence. Very important that we understand your thoughts shape your results. Right now of these 15 that I've mentioned, me myself I experienced 5 of them. I wonder if you can guess which 5 I've experienced. Right? Yeah, you can list if you feel there's anything that I've missed. And so on. Yeah, if you can give me some more thoughts that I can put in here, but this is 15 common ones and I'm going to go through them. This is for you to identify. I know as a teacher, I've been doing this now for almost 25 years, tutoring and teaching at school. No matter how well I get a learner to understand the problem, if they harbor these negative thoughts, they still end up failing an exam, all right, for various reasons. Right, so some end up passing and some end up failing, but that's based on where their thought processes are and which specific thoughts gets the most, how do you say, support from you mentally. So there's a fear of failure. This negative thought normally goes in the form or sounds something like, I'm going to fail this exam. There's self-doubt where you are not sure of yourself, so negative thought, I'm not smart enough to pass, etc. You doubt whether you know the stuff, if you don't know the stuff. 3, anxiety about the unknown. We try to think so far ahead, trying to see which questions we think will be tested, and because we're not sure if they're going to ask difficult or easy, we start stressing. That negative thought normally goes, what if the questions are too difficult? Comparison with others. Yeah, sometimes our parents compare, sometimes we ourselves compare us with others. So the negative thought, everyone else is smarter and better prepared than I am. Regret over poor preparation. So that goes normally hand in hand with procrastination. So negative thought, I should have studied more, it's too late now, etc. We find many reasons why we will be doing bad in the exam. Waste time, and therefore wasting time means we have less time to prepare. 6, pressure to meet expectations. Sometimes we got shouted so badly either by our teacher or parents or aunt or somebody that we are scared to disappoint them. So negative thought, if I don't do well, I will disappoint my parents, teachers, etc. Right, fear of forgetting everything. So every odd occasion we experience what they call totally blanking out while writing. So a negative thought, what if my mind goes blank? We start worrying, am I going to remember? Am I not going to remember? Catastrophizing, or yeah, I don't know why this happens. If I write the word down, I can't pronounce it. If I don't look at the word, I can say it. But catastrophizing, right? The negative thought, if I fail this exam, my future is ruined. So I don't know how many of you experience this. Like I can say phenomenal when I don't see it, but if I write it there, I can't pronounce it. If I fail this exam, my future is ruined. So sometimes we attach a lot of things to the exam, and sometimes we're thinking so far ahead, but if I fail now, end of the year, am I going to pass? Am I going to make it to university, etc.? Right, sometimes we're overwhelmed by the syllabus, not only as learners, but as teachers. So negative thought, there's too much to remember, I can't handle all. Right, so sometimes we feel there's just too many things to study and we don't have a plan of how we're going to go about it. Feeling powerless, right, so sometimes my negative thought, no matter how much I study, I will always do badly. So that happens, and this year I'll go a little bit more in detail with this. Sometimes what happens is we are told to teach something in class, but when we test the same item, we test something we haven't taught in class. So we send home learners with content that they study very hard, right? And they know it and they prepared for the exam, but when they get to the exam, what they have studied is not being tested, and they end up doing badly. Right? This actually is one of the reasons how we as teachers contribute towards test anxiety. Right? So always make sure that as a teacher, just basic guidance that What you are planning to test the learner on is what you have explained and taught them. Alright, you can ask some difficult questions, but most of the stuff is stuff that they've learned from you, and therefore when they come in exam, they do not feel powerless. Alright. Negative past experience. Alright, so that also, as I said, the number 10 can be linked to number 11. I failed my last exam, so I will fail this one too. Right, so because you have now experienced failure, that failure stresses you out so much that you start believing you're gonna fail the next one too. Right, procrastination, regret. So thinking about my failures and wasting my time thinking of it, I develop a negative thought. I wasted so much time, I can't catch up now. So sometimes we find 110 reasons why we can't study now and why we're going to study later, etc. When the time catches up with us, due to us procrastinating, we realize that we can't catch up now. We worry about timing, right? So sometimes you wrote a paper and you didn't finish the paper, right? So accounting learners goes through this a lot. Accounting papers in the past were so hectic that you had to know your content so well to finish it exactly on time. In physics and in maths also, basically most of the time maths paper 1, the learners don't get to probability of finishing the probability and so on. So this negative thought, I won't have enough time to finish the paper. Then we have the imposter syndrome. Negative thought, I do not deserve to pass, I'm not good enough. So we give 110 reasons why we don't want to study. Because if I study and I fail, what are the people going to think of me, etc., etc. So it's just easier to say we don't deserve to pass, we're not good enough, etc. And then 15, this one I've left for last, physical and mental fatigue. Right? So that fatigue that we experience basically comes from all these negative thoughts that we have in our mind. Overthinking, stressing, thinking too far in the future, worrying too much about our past. So generally we say if you are too deep into your past, you go through depression. If you're too far ahead in the future and stressing about it, you're experiencing anxiety. So that all those thoughts tire you out. And when you have that physical, mental fatigue, you'll basically explain to yourself that I'm too tired to do well. So these are just some basic negative thoughts. As I said, there's 5 years that I've myself experienced. All right. Some of it you may experience. You can look which ones you experience. You can list them. You can even, if you want to, try to attempt to see which 5 I'm going through. But yeah. In the next lesson, I'm going to look at how we can challenge and change these thought patterns of ours. All right. And I wish you nothing but the best. Bye.